Thank you so much, Jameson, an alumnus of our program, for that beautiful piano introduction. Welcome, friends, family, faculty, staff, and alumnus to the 2020 Vermont College of Fine Arts commencement ceremony for the Master of Fine Arts in Writing and Publishing. We typically hold the ceremony each year in Alumnus Hall or in the College Hall Chapel on VCFA's campus in Montpelier, Vermont. And while we could not celebrate in person this year due to the circumstances of the pandemic, we are delighted to honor and celebrate our graduating class of 2020 online. Because we're meeting virtually, many friends and family members who could have not made the trip to Vermont for an in-person gathering are here to celebrate with us today. And this afternoon, as we celebrate the class of 2020, our audience members are tuning in from Nigeria, the Netherlands, California, South Carolina, Montpelier, Vermont, and all over the United States and the world. So welcome, and thank you for joining us on such a momentous occasion. Our MFA in Writing and Publishing program is VCFA's residential two-year program, which focuses on a robust multi-genre education with a strong emphasis on publishing. During the course of their graduate studies, our students have the opportunity to study and practice poetry, fiction, nonfiction, playwriting, and screenwriting. And they also have the opportunity to take publishing modules in our program and learn from literary agents, owners of small presses, editors within the Big Five publishing world, and of prestigious literary journals, and directors of literary arts nonprofits, among many of the other leaders within the publishing world. Our program has been so successful because of all of the community members, from our students and alumnus to faculty and staff, to the administration of VCFA, who have supported our community over the years. Before we begin our programming this afternoon, I would like to acknowledge a few people, and I would ask them to wave on the camera when they're introduced. First, I would like to acknowledge and thank the faculty and staff of the MFA in Writing and Publishing program for the beautiful community that they have helped build and nourish. So please do wave. Thank you, all of our faculty, and everyone feel free to clap as well. And I would especially like to thank our program staff and administration, which include our brilliant and dedicated Associate Director, Lizzie Fox, faculty member and editor of Hunger Mountain, Erin Stalcup, who has served as a mentor for many of our students, and to our academic dean, Matthew Monk, for all of his support of our students, faculty, and staff. I would also like to give a special thanks to David Marco, our Vice President for Student Services, Chiomi McGibbon, our Coordinator of Campus Services, and Jericho Parms, a faculty member in our program and Director of the Alumnus Affairs and Diversity Initiatives, for all of the support they have provided to our students over the last few years. So thank you to David, Chiomi, and Jericho. Finally, I wanted to say thank you and congratulations to the class of 2020. The class of 2020 is a special graduating class for me, as they were my first students that I had the opportunity to mentor, teach, and grow with as I began my position as director of the MFA in Writing and Publishing program here at VCFA 2 years ago. From Tyler, Jordan, Tracy, Rebecca, Laura, Kelsey, Ukamaka, and Dayton, I have learned so much. I have been delighted in their words and by their questions. I have been proud of all the writing they have produced, and I have been impressed by their dedication to the fields of creative writing and publishing. But most of all, I have felt very inspired by their bravery on the page and the stories they have told, the moving and thought-provoking performances they have produced, and how their voices have gone out to reshape and change the world. I thank you for all that you have taught me, and I thank you for helping create such a beautiful and supportive community here at VCFA. I will miss you all tremendously, and I look forward to celebrating with you in all of your current and future successes. And I look forward to seeing where this path dedicated to a life of art, writing, and imagination may take you. So thank you, everyone. I would now like to welcome Rebecca Jameson, who has been chosen by the class of 2020 to be their class speaker.
Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see you here. So this wasn't the graduation I had planned. I think it's safe to say it's not the graduation that any of us had planned. Even with the ever more precarious state of the world, never in my wildest dreams did I think we would be graduating online in the midst of a global pandemic with over 300,000 deaths worldwide and the US unemployment rate the worst it's been since the Great Depression. This was not the world that I had planned to graduate into, especially armed with such a lucrative, high-demand degree as an MFA in writing and publishing. Yet, this is the world we have, and this is the world that needs us. This is the world that needs our dreams, determination, grit, and heart. This is the world that needs us to recognize our interdependence, the truth that we are intimately connected as citizens of a global community, and that our health, well-being, and life itself rests in each other's hands. Strange as it may be to say this, I believe that as writers, we are uniquely equipped for such a world. As writers, we know how to dream, how to imagine what doesn't exist and coax it into reality. As writers, we have incredible determination and work tirelessly because we know that creativity brings joy. We have tremendous grit, forging ahead even though we are told again and again that it's impossible to be a writer. No one makes it. Quit now and do something that pays. We know about interdependence, that we are always being lifted up by others, and that we are only as healthy as the community that we are part of. As writers, perhaps our biggest strength is that we have heart. We have the willingness to take a flashlight into the darkness inside us and make friends with the monsters or lost children we find there. This is why I believe that no matter how scary and unknown the future may be, as writers, we have the tools we need to face it. Corey, Dayton, Jordan, Kelsey, Laura, Tracy, Tyler, and Uka. Each of you have changed my life for the better. I have watched all of us grow by incredible leaps and bounds over the last 2 years, and I can't wait to see how you'll all keep growing and shining. There's so much about the future that we can't control. However, one of the things that we can is showing up for each other. I believe in you, and I believe in us. We've got this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Next, I would like to introduce our faculty member, Justin Bigos, who has been chosen by the class of 2020 to be their faculty speaker.
Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, my VCFA family and your family, friends, and loved ones. Last night, I sat on the front porch of my house, the old Victorian that Erin and Talia and I traveled 4 days to move to from Arizona in 2018, looking up at the stormy sky. After nearly 2 years in central Vermont, I've grown used to a visual palette of grays. And perhaps because I live in Barrie, where the cemeteries and bakeries and statues are made of Barrie quarried granite, I think of the grays as solid, old and stony, hard to budge. But this gray was some vortex of grays, shifting their weights, commingling like breaths, like deep kisses, at a turbulent and arousing velocity. And shocker, I thought of poetry. How a good poem, in its restlessness of form, its intensity but unpredictability of feeling, in the sheer gust of its utterance, can seem like everything. I've lived in that lyric pitch, even sought it out beyond poetry, and at times to my own detriment. But what writer hasn't? As the skies above us darken and swirl and dizzy, and yes, open up here and there for a ray of springtime sun, know that your writing is its own light. That all you need sometimes is a spark, a flare to guide you. Be brave, yes, now especially, as our collective future feels as uncertain as the weather, but also be afraid. I mean that. Allow yourself that fear. Sit too with your loneliness and listen to it. It's okay. You are never alone, though God knows it feels that way sometimes. When you begin to write again in 20 minutes, or 20 days, months, or years, know that you take part in an ancient tradition. Beyond writing conferences and MFAs and awards, and what you do is a calling and a responsibility. To yourself first. You do not owe anybody your story, your vulnerability, or your wounds, but you do owe yourself the right to call yourself a writer and to make a life of it. As the sage and radiant Channy Nicholas says, you were born for this. Let's clap for Channy. As I was nearly lost in reverie inside my pulsing gray poetry cloud, I received a text, a photo of a rainbow from a dear friend in the Hudson Valley. Only the ends of the rainbow were visible, the beginning and the end. Or was it the end and the beginning? My friend marveled at the gregariousness of the rainbow's colors, its light, bright brazenness in the gray storm. I did too, and my eye also dwelled in the space where the rainbow disappeared, the large hidden arc in the middle. But I imagined it there, inside the rain, the clouds, a bridge hidden above its banks. Uka, Rebecca, Kelsey, Tyler, Dayton, Jordan, Tracy, and Laura, I will meet you there. In that space is where we've met all along. Savor this moment. There is a sweetness before an anticipated sweetness. A sweetness in its own right. Breathe it in, taste it, and believe in it. It is one of the true honors of my life to call myself your teacher, and to call you now what I realize you have been from the beginning. And y'all knew I was gonna cry. That's why you asked me to do this. You are my teachers. And I'll always have your back, and you'll always have my gratitude. Muchas gracias. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Justin. That was beautiful. I would like now to introduce the members of the MFA in Writing and Publishing class of 2020. Each graduate will be introduced by a person of their choosing who may be a thesis advisor, a faculty member, a friend, or a family member. I will introduce each speaker and graduate, and as I do the introductions, I would like each pair to turn on their microphones. Following the introduction of each graduate, our graduating students will have the opportunity to say thank you or to read from their theses. Each pair will have approximately 5 minutes to present, and to lead this portion of the ceremony, I would like to welcome Tyler Glaus-Todrank, who will be introduced by their thesis advisor, Frances Cannon.
Hello, can you hear me? I didn't think I could get so nervous for a Zoom meeting, but I am. Anyway, I will also cry. I'll just get that out of the way. I am grateful to have enjoyed Tyler's intellectual companionship during my time teaching at VCFA. I could not have asked for a more warm, generous, witty, and talented student and thesis advisee. And I know that I will continue to pester Tyler to share their work with me in the future, although soon enough, I may not have to pester them at all. I'll just pick up their book off the shelf of Crow or Bear Pond books and carry it to the counter with pride at having known the author before their best-selling title was published. I can envision a whole section of Tyler's books. One, a slim folio of poems and photographs, and a novella or 2 or 3, and the book that is Tyler's thesis, a narrative of linked queer characters who are all in their own way, exploring the different faces and angles of masculinity, intimacy, identity, and survival in rural settings, from Colorado to Vermont and back west to California. I feel as though I've met all of these characters, as lovers, neighbors, friends, strangers at the gas station. Tyler has crafted each with such nuance and depth that they could easily step from the printed page into the reader's life. As Tyler's instructor, I have often thought, what more could I possibly teach them? They're already bursting with knowledge and experience in literature, the writing process, and life. It's been an honor to work with Tyler. They've proven again and again to be a stellar writer, student, and friend.
Thank you so much, Frankie. I'm going to start off crying even before I begun, but thank you. That was incredibly beautiful and amazingly supportive. And hello to Tintin, who I saw his little ears in the background. Hi, Tintin. So I am going to read, but I'm not going to read from my thesis. I'm going to read a short essay that has similar themes to my thesis, but is not actually pulled from there. So I'm going to start with that. It's called Visiting My Own Grave. I run my fingers down the 2 horizontal scars, still sore and red on my chest. And I remember how when I had breasts, they would slide to either side when I lay on my back, how they rested against my arms in their weighted softness. Or when I was on my side, they would swim together into one fleshy protrusion. And no matter how I turned or positioned myself, they were always flopping this way and that inconveniently. I remember this, and I don't. It feels like another lifetime now, a very uncomfortable lifetime that I've both tried to forget and tried to integrate as an aspect of my wholeness. In my walk between genders, I am sculpting my body to feel more like home. It wasn't until months after I chose to have my breast removed that I researched breast anatomy to understand what I asked to be taken out of my body. Breasts are comprised of fatty tissue as well as tissue that creates milk, all connected through ducts that lead to the nipple. At one point, I had the potential to nurse, to offer sustenance to a growing being. I no longer have this capability. Now I can birth a baby, but cannot offer food. I thought I would only feel relief after surgery, but how I feel is complicated, messy, and filled with mourning. I am at once more whole and more fractured. I feel like the warrior who must sacrifice a part of themselves so they can be born anew. I gently touch my lumpy nipples. They are my nipples, the same ones I had before, but removed and replaced. I imagine them, 2 slivers of skin caught between life and death, sitting on a metal tray next to the operating table where I am asleep, a part of me cut off, set aside, waiting to find a new home on my body. The surgeon trimmed the areolas before sewing them back on a bit higher and more to the outside of my newly formed chest. I wonder if they feel disoriented being in a new place, or if they finally feel like they're in a place where they belonged all along. I often wonder how the tissue was taken from my body. I watch a tube enter inside of me, vacuuming out flesh, and I see globs of myself get carried away through suction, filling up a plastic bag that gets tossed in a biohazard bin, pieces of me that will melt into a landfill somewhere, spilling out of the melted bag onto old washing machines, moldy toast crusts, shoes that have lost their souls. I wish I could have kept this removal. I would have cared for it like placenta and honored its existence, its journey from the living to the dead. I would have buried it on my land, offering it back to the earth. I would have said a prayer for my loss, my shedding, my transformation. I long for this part of me that was taken away, not because I want it back in my body, but because I want to remember how I came to be the person I am now. I want to be able to visit my own grave so that I might feel how I am still alive. At the time of my surgery, I didn't want anything to do with the tissue that was removed. I thought only of how free I would feel in a mere few hours. And even bound up with foam and tape, drains coming out of either side of my body that filled with blood and pus, I did feel free. I still do every day. But I also ache for the tissue that is gone. I want to hold the flesh in my hands and say thank you. Say I love you for having been a part of me. And I want to thank lots of people, everyone here. Thank you all for being here. First, and perhaps most importantly, I want to thank all of the queer, trans, and non-binary writers that came before me, who've paved the way for me to be able to do the work that I'm doing today. I'm eternally grateful for all of them. I particularly want to thank Frances Cannon for your beautiful introduction, and for Tintin, of course, and Erin Stalcup, my advisor and my reader, who are both incredible, amazing, rad people who I admire so deeply. And I could not have done this project without you both. Thank you for your support. I love you both so much. Thank you to Justin Bigos for all of his support. He was not on my committee for my thesis, but I worked with him a lot. And he is one of the most thoughtful people that I've ever worked with in terms of getting feedback. And thank you for your beautiful speech, Justin. I really, really beautifully loved it. And I also want to thank James Scott, who's one of the people that I worked with here. And he was particularly helpful and encouraging to me on my path, and has helped me outside of school as well. And I'm really grateful for him. Thank you to Rita Banerjee and Lizzie Fox for fearlessly leading our program. You guys are both amazing. And thank you to every single person in my cohort. I love you all. I could not be doing the work I'm doing without you. You have supported me and validated who I am in so many ways, and it means the world to me. And I want to thank my family, some of whom are on this call today. Thank you so much for being here. They are incredible. They've let me be who I am and have supported me and loved me through this whole journey that I've been on. Thank you so much to my family. And last but not least, thank you to Aylin, who supported and loved me through all of my ups and downs. And I don't think I would be here at all, and I don't think I would be writing particularly without Aylin's support. Thank you all, and many blessings to all of us who are graduating. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Tyler. That was beautiful and powerful. Next, I would like to welcome Jordan Glenn, who will be introduced by his thesis advisor, Erin Stalcup.
Hi, everybody. Jordan Glenn is fierce. I don't think I've ever had so much fun watching someone write a book. Every challenge I threw at him, Jordan was like, yeah, sure, I can do that, fine. And then he did. And he just kept leveling up. And he has written a book that will single-handedly elevate the young adult genre. The ways in which he honors all human hearts and all human minds will make us all better people. I'm excited to hear you read, Jordan.
Thanks, Erin, for that lovely introduction. There are so many people to thank. Thank you to my family, close and extended, for supporting me on this journey. I love you all very much. Thank you to the amazing faculty at VCFA, especially thanks to Rita, who introduced to us every author's best friend, a dreaded step in revision, for me at least, and what would become a sort of refrain of cohort bonding present in many workshops, out of workshops, jokes and stories otherwise. Parataxis, everyone, please remember it. Thanks to James Scott and the Kaya Bay Cult, who inspired me and many of us with their knowledge and demeanor and their attention to each of us inside and outside the classroom. Thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it. And especially thanks to Erin, my thesis advisor, who in our very first few weeks here held a module on vulnerability that showcased her almost superhuman capacity for empathy and craft. I really couldn't have made it this far without her sage advice. Thank you again. The 2 years here have been transformative for me, both as a person and artist, and I cannot thank all of you enough. It's truly been a pleasure to learn from and with all of you, my peers. I don't think there'd have been a finer, more charitable, kind, and clever crew to undertake my MFA with. Inside and outside of class, you have all been so smart and thoughtful and insightful in ways that have astonished me for years now. All your theses have had me spellbound, and I'm so honored to be graduating alongside you. It's thanks to all of you that I've completed the first draft of the novel Erin very kindly mentioned, something I only dreamed of when I started. And finally, even though we couldn't have had a formal graduation, we've still made the most of our final year. Our lives as artists is just beginning to bloom. I love you all very much. Congratulations, friends, and thank you.
Thank you so much, Jordan. That was lovely. Next, I would like to welcome Tracy Hott, who will be introduced by her mother, Lisa Trollinger.
Hi, I'm very honored to be able to do this. Thank you. Tracy had dreams of getting her MFA for many years, but circumstances didn't yield her the opportunity until VCFA fortuitously turned up in her new hometown. Over the last 2 years, Tracy's world has opened up, and you've all been a part of that expansion. She has great affection for her peers in this program and for your whole creative community. She has been lifted up personally and professionally by all of you. The shy, sweet girl I watched develop from her first moments on this planet has never been more alive, more in tune with truth, more pledged to good outcomes, or more in touch with her own creativity. We are proud that Tracy has gone further in her education than the rest of us in our family. We know the considerable constraints she has had to overcome as a high school dropout, then later as a mother of 2 going back to school, and more recently as a divorcee with more to resolve than just her educational goals. Under pressure, Tracy is a fortress. Years ago, as a military wife, she showed incredible courage, grace, and tender oversight, taking care of her kids for very long periods, all the while knowing her husband was at risk serving in a war zone. I suppose the upside of that is this. If the inside of frustration is of benefit to a writer's craft, then Tracy has an open tap. On behalf of the members of our family, it is with heartfelt admiration that we laud Tracy's remarkable journey to this landmark achievement. So Tracy, your grit and determination, your heart, and your excellence as a gifted writer mark this moment where we get to boast of your good works. Now we can't wait for the next chapter in your story. We love you. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mom. This school felt like home from the beginning. I couldn't have picked a better group of people to have made this journey with. I have so much love and admiration for each of my classmates. You have become my family. Not once have I felt competitiveness or judgment. From the beginning, I have felt accepted and encouraged, and that has allowed me to truly embrace who I am and to find my voice both as a writer and a woman. Thank you to my wonderful parents, my kids, to all the faculty and staff. Thank you, AJ, for your amazing love and support. A special thank you to my dear friend Dayton and to Aaron, my thesis advisor. My 22-year-old son, Jackson, is watching. He is a writer and a musician. I want to tell him to never give up. Follow your heart rather than the chatter in your head. Embrace who you are, flaws and all, and take the pain, the sensitivity, the craziness, and turn it into art. I am a high school dropout and I have a master's degree. Anything is possible when you follow your passion. I love all of you so much. I am going to read from my thesis, a short excerpt. My thesis is titled The California Stories, and this excerpt is from a chapter titled Hanukkah, Hell's Angels, and Yahtzee in a trailer just north of Santa Cruz. The sky was hazy. The sun looked especially lunar, like a flashlight that was dying, hanging half-hearted above the redwoods. I walked the dirt road in the trailer park, trying not to stare at the dilapidated homes and the sad-looking children playing in dirt yards. The last trailer looked unbelievably sad. Foil covered the windows. A blanket was hung for a front door. Rusted aluminum siding hung broken in places. A little girl sat in the yard, a discolored diaper so full it was leaking shit down her pale thighs. She was playing with a hammer. She sat hammering the dirt with a hammer that was about as big as she was. Each time she lifted the hammer, I swore she was going to nail herself in the face, but would stop just shy of her little nose before dropping forward to the dusty ground. Her hair was dark brown and curly like mine. She looked up at me like she'd never seen anything like me before. "Hi," I said. She smiled and swung the hammer down into the dirt again, laughing hysterically, like she was hiccuping. "Be careful," I said, my lips quivering under the weight of a forced smile. I wanted to pick her up and run. I pictured it. Then I pictured the soggy diaper overflowing, the wet shit running down my pants as I carried her. I turned and walked away, but I would dream about that little girl for years after. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tracy. That was lovely. Thank you. I think we're all going to start crying soon. Next, I would like to welcome Rebecca Jameson, who will be introduced by her thesis advisor, Jericho Parms.
Hi, everyone. It's an honor to introduce Rebecca Jamison. On a call with Rebecca a few days ago, I asked her how she was feeling about this day, and she said, direct quote, "It all seems so improbable." And since then, the word improbable has been circling through my head. A lot feels a bit improbable right now, unexpected, uncertain. It's a strange and unruly time. You've all had the pleasure of already hearing from Rebecca a bit this afternoon and glimpsing the kind of insight, beauty, and composure that she brings to, well, literally everything that she does. So it doesn't feel like a stretch to say to all of you that the fact that we're here today to celebrate Rebecca and really all of these amazing writers feels far from improbable. Of the many writers I've worked with, rarely have I come across one whose intellect and integrity comes through so seamlessly on and off the page, who truly seeks the mastery of her art. Rebecca's thesis, Haunted at Home, is a beautifully crafted collection of essays that meditates on family, education, race, sexual violence, the concept of left-handedness, the nuances of empathy, incorporates the landscapes of her untraditional upbringing in Wisconsin, adult life in Portland and Vermont, all against underlying inquiries into what we mean when we say self and other, of what it means to be haunted or at home. Like the crafty seamstress she is, Rebecca's prose tears us apart and stitches us back together again. Before I turn it over to Rebecca, I'd like to say this. I know little about probability, even less of statistics. But in the grand scheme of things, I believe, Rebecca, that the odds are in your favor. I believe that because of all the ways that you have taught me over the past year, about instinct and curiosity, about how we feel things sometimes that we can't reason or explain. Perhaps it's my left-handedness that leads me to sense, without a doubt, that the stars are aligned for you, ready for you to pluck them down, to bend and shape this world and the field of literature with your words, your wit, your instinct, and your grace. Congratulations.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm crying. Oh, thank you so much, Jericho. I just want to start by saying thank you again to you. Jericho, you supported me with such incredible skill, wisdom, kindness, and empathy every step of the way on this journey. And you saw me through some really, really challenging and painful moments with such compassion and grace. You believed in this project from the very beginning, even when I didn't know if any of it made sense or if I could write about this or should write about this. And you not only saw the potential for that, you really believed in it, and you helped me believe in it too and really trust myself as a writer. So just endless thanks to you. And I also want to offer a huge thank you to my thesis reader, Frances Cannon. You brought so much insight, sensitivity, thoughtfulness, and humor, and just a sense of delight as well to this process. So thank you so much. Your support was invaluable. I also want to say a deep thank you to all my professors at VCFA. I've just learned so much from you. You're just beautiful people. And a really special thank you to Justin Bigos. You were just completely instrumental in helping me trust my voice and really develop this collection of essays. Huge thanks, of course, to my cohort and friends in this program. I love you all so much, and I'm just so lucky to get to be inspired by you and your writing, and have seen you and been inspired by our connection every day of the last 2 years. Thank you. And last, a big thank you to my family and my friends outside of this program. I love you so much, and I could never have done this without you. So thank you all. And I'm gonna read just a quick excerpt from my thesis. It's in the middle of an essay that's called A Real Education. And all you need to know is that I was unschooled, which is a much more kind of politically radical, unstructured version of homeschooling. And this is the first day that I ever attend public school in my life, the first day of my sophomore year of high school. "This is my next door neighbor," trilled Kathy, who I now had to call Mrs. Warpinski, on the first day of Spanish class at Dodgeville High School. It was a boxy, windowless brick building crouched next to a wide, grassy field. Dodgeville, or Stodgeville, as my dad liked to call it. The sound of the word contained the essence of the town. Flat, religious, rule-following, limp, and colorless. Walmart and Land's End Factory, Pizza Hut and Subway. Miles of flat, glistening cornfields. At the sound of Kathy's voice, all 15 pairs of eyes turned on me, scrutinizing my thrift store t-shirt and off-brand jeans, the hems of which hovered too high above the floor. I kept my arms crossed tightly over my chest, jaw clamped, eyes fixed on Kathy. I was sweating. She took no notice of me, crammed into an almost fetal position at the tiny metal desk, the hard seat digging into my spine. She kept talking, fixing me with such a genuine smile that I couldn't hate her, even though I felt the curious eyes around me growing more hostile with every word. "Becky is a homeschooler, and this is her very first day of school, so everyone be extra nice to her," Kathy beamed. Throughout the class, she called on me to answer questions and praised my pronunciation. She assigned us the names of famous Spanish speakers, and I was given Libertad Lamarque, an Argentinian entertainer who'd been famous in the 1940s. As soon as Kathy announced my new name, a tall boy 2 seats behind me with a buzz cut and glasses hissed, "Libertard," and Snickers popcorned around the room. Kathy, who hadn't heard the comment, looked around doe-eyed, then shrugged her shoulders and moved on. Over the next few months, I learned that the students had branded Kathy a hippie because of her liberal politics. To have been chosen as her teacher's pet was social annihilation. Soon it became clear that I wasn't just learning one foreign language, I was learning 2. Nothing in my previous experience had prepared me for this full-on cultural immersion. Theoretically, it was a culture I was part of, yet I couldn't have felt more alien than if I had been dropped into the school from a flying saucer. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. Next, I would like to welcome Laura Kuyawa, who will be introduced by her thesis advisor, Erin Stalka.
Laura Kuyawa is gorgeous. She has told me that she wants to be me when she grows up, but the truth is I want to be her when I grow up. I wish I were as smart and as funny as she is. And I wish I could push myself in my writing as hard as she pushes herself. Laura was writing a really good book, and then she and I had a conversation about how it could maybe be a better book, but a much harder book to write. And she was like, that hard thing? Yeah, I'm gonna go do that hard thing. And she slayed. Laura dedicated her book to her fictional alter ego, and that's just fucking beautiful. Laura makes me want to love myself even when I don't. She helps me see how worthy of love we all are.
Thank you, Erin. Wowza. Wow, thank you so much, Erin. I hope you don't mind me being a little bit weepy. I'm feeling really weepy. I have the unique pleasure of being a 3-year student at VCFA. I know many of you know that because I talk about it a lot. Not only do I have the privilege of graduating with this incredible cohort, but I have been lucky enough to grow alongside the last 2 classes as well as the now 2nd years. I feel so fortunate to be able to call you all friends and mentors. Thank you for teaching me so much. Thank you to my family who are sitting around a screen 1 floor beneath me. Hello. Thank you to Elijah, who's been so supportive from Houston. Also, hello. Thank you to the incredible professors and guests and administrators who have come and gone throughout the last few years. I'm so, so grateful to all of you. I'm so grateful for all of you watching and listening. I wish I could put it all into words, but I can't. I wish I could quantify what my time with you all has meant. I can't wait for a future where we can celebrate our successes in person. Thank you.
Laura, that was so beautiful. Thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome Kelsey Long, who will be introduced by her mother, Cheryl Long.
Thank you. It is my great honor to introduce Kelsey Long, a young woman who came into this world with a strong mind and even stronger opinions. This sweetly cherub-faced child made it perfectly clear very early on that she was autonomous and passionate, with a quick mind and an even quicker wit. She was loud and clear when it came to proclaiming that she needed no help from the grown-ups and was perfectly capable of doing her life her way. Her love of learning began early, carefully setting up her menagerie of stuffed toys in tidy classroom rows the very first day that she returned from her preschool. Her natural editing skill was also made evident before she even hit 1st grade, as she, much to his frustration, was quick to often correct her older brother's spelling. Along the way, she had many champions, whom I so appreciate. Among them, a 3rd grade teacher, who so generously fostered her passion for books, an introverted school librarian, who saw her as a kindred spirit, a middle school art teacher, who changed her path by encouraging her to apply to a secondary arts magnet school, an AP teacher or 2, and others who rekindled her love of literature and writing while in undergrad. This graduate school experience became a learning pool on a deeper soul level, wherein she learned to trust her gut and open to her deepest intuition. She found the power and conviction of her own voice in her willingness to take a courageous stand for speaking truth in the shadows and giving voice to the monsters that live within us all. She has faced her own personal growing pains with intellectual and emotional honesty, diving deep into root cause and sharing about her experience of the journey. I admire her courage and willingness to venture into the dark. As a hospice chaplain and grief counselor myself, I speak from experience when I say that I believe the world will greatly benefit and heal from what she continues to share about the freedom and joy that are the deep reward of becoming friends with our pain. As her educational journey comes to a close, I, along with her dad, her brother, and many others, am so very proud of who she has become along the way and look forward to watching her launch into her next chapter. Borrowing from one of my favorite song lyrics, I simply say, hold your own, know your name, and go your own way.
Thanks, Ma. Oh, thank you so much for the lovely introduction and for raising me and being really patient with me writing a weird monster book. and thanks to my dad for being here and letting me steal all your Stephen King books. Thanks to my brother Jesse for being here, letting me steal all of your copies of your horror movies. I'm sorry I lost Halloween. I'll buy you another one. I also just want to thank everybody in the VCFA community, particularly Rita Banerjee and Aaron Stalkup, who are my thesis advisor and reader, respectively, for encouraging and being patient with this very strange cobbling together of monster pieces, and just in being encouraging and supportive mentors and peers and guides and educators and friends and everything along the way. I also want to thank Justin Bigos, who encouraged the first drafts of this weird, strange thing in workshop, where I was like, I kind of want to write in a monster voice, but I don't really know how to do it. So thank you for that. Thanks to Francis Cannon also for your help in workshop with the critical essay and for everything else. Thanks to Lizzie for fearlessly co-leading the program with Rita, and for keeping the ship afloat and austere and headed toward glory all the time. Thank you to my whole cohort for being fabulous people, each and every one of you. I'm just going to read one page. I'm going to read you the first page of my thesis, and then I'll cede the mic. But thank you all so much for being here. It's really nice to see everybody here. This piece is called How to Watch a Scary Movie. If you're watching with somebody you love, start with this familiar script. Hang on. Oh my God, you've never seen this movie before? Oh my God, it's one of my favorites, you have to. Then follow the directions as written. If you're watching by yourself, here's what you do. Start by wearing your usual couch dwelling uniform. Soft sweatshirt over smelly slept-in regular shirt, holey pants, 3-day-old socks, smudge of red lipstick because you felt like it, smear of lip balm if you didn't. The time of day you choose really doesn't matter. You know this would be better at night, more intense, jumpier during the jumpy bits. But your unmedicated bowl of electric jello, we'll talk about this later, knows it's more traditionally productive at night, so you tend to do your traditionally lazy activities during the morning or early afternoon hours. Either way, it doesn't really matter. You saw Hell Night for the first time at 3 a.m. on a Sunday, and you saw the Texas Chainsaw Massacre at 11 a.m. a few days later, and you saw Halloween on your living room floor after school one October afternoon in the 7th grade, and you love all these movies with different but equal ferocity. Snacks are good if you need to do something with your hands. Hug something soft and warm if you're feeling nervous, a stuffed rabbit, the strong or soft middle of your favorite person. Once you press play, the rest of the world you know will fade into darkness. Once you press play, you agree to let the vampire in, throw the switch in the madman's laboratory, strike the point of your grave-digging shovel into the wet, loose earth. Go on, press it. You know you want to. Thank you all so much.
That was so lovely, Kelsey. Thank you so much. Next, I would like to welcome Ukamaka Olisakwe, who will be introduced by me, her thesis advisor, Rita Banerjee. Over the last year, I've had the great honor and the pleasure to advise Ukamaka as she drafted and composed her autofiction novel, Sweet Mother, Sweet Monster. Over the last 2 years, I've seen her flourish as a fiction writer, a poet, a nonfiction essayist. She brings passion, wit, and a strong feminist lens to everything she produces with so much care and so much light. She has been the recipient of our Emerging Writer Fellowship, and she is the author of 2 novels, Eyes of a Goddess, which came out in 2012, and Oga Dinma, or Everything Will Be All Right, which launches this September. Prior to attending VCFA, she was a resident in the University of Iowa's International Writing Program and served as a screenwriter for the television series The Calabash about the banking industry in Africa. Her writing appears in the New York Times, Long Reads, Catapult, Rattle, The Rumpus, and Brittle Paper. And this fall, she'll be joining the PhD program in English Creative Writing at the University of South Dakota. So please give a warm welcome to Ukamaka Olisakwe.
Hi, everyone. Please, can you hear me? Okay, good. In my interview with the University of Mississippi literary journal, Yellow-Busher Review, the editor asked me what was the most important things I learned from working on my latest project. And I said, I come from a community where girls are encouraged to marry during their teenage years. This stunted our mothers' growth, their entire lives reduced to a single thing, caregivers. While many of our mothers wholeheartedly embrace this role, what other option do they have anyway? Some didn't, and I am interested in those who fought back. I am fascinated by how they hold their anger well on the inside, their pain smoothened over with layers of compact powder, smiles widened by the right shade of lipstick, dim eyes brightened with a thick swat of eye pencil. These mothers bear the weight of these stories on their shoulders. It has hunched their backs and given them arthritis. We don't talk about them enough in my community. We don't talk about how marriage and childbirth devastates the woman. Instead, we think about the virtuous mother who endured and suffered for her husband and her children. We exalt suffering as the virtue every girl must aspire to. We dance to Prince Nico Mbaga's sweet mother on Mother's Day, and we judge the new generation of women who refuse to participate in that vicious circle, who reject that legacy of suffering. We call them angry, bitter, corrupt. I have found this to be a running thread in all my stories, in my poems, in my essays, the relationship between the mother and her society, the woman and her daughter, how we succumb under the weight of something that we were told was supposed to be beautiful. Yeah, so that was my long response to the question about why I write what I write. And I must say that I wouldn't have been able to articulate this thought clearly, to delve into these weighty topics, if I hadn't come to the Vermont College of Arts. I am thankful to these people who made my journey so beautiful, fruitful, memorable, something I will cherish for the rest of my life. First, I'd like to thank Erin Stalkop, my brilliant and powerful professor, who helped me shape my thesis into a near marvel I believe it almost is. She worked not just as my advisor and professor, but also as my therapist and friend, often reaching out to ask after my health, my well-being. She never shut the door in my face. I am grateful. To Justin Bigos, who taught me how to create a language for the things I sought terms for, and to read vastly and across genre. He taught me how to write good feedbacks. It was in Justin's class that I realized the core of my PhD research topic. I miss our conversation. I miss his friendship. I miss our chats. And I also meet his favorite rutabaga vegetable. And Frances Cannon, who shared with me rich resources from her library, especially her Laurie Moore collection, which helped me turn my critical essay into what it has become. I must also say here that it was this same critical essay that got me into the PhD program. And my amazing and incredibly brilliant director, Dr. Rita Banerjee, who taught me how to be patient with my characters, to be rigorous in my research, to eschew all form of laziness, and to confront these tough topics I pursue. She told me to be courageous, to be disciplined, to be dedicated, and to also have a full dose of soul in my stories. She pushed me to work so hard with one hand because of all the seriousness my work deserves. And with the other hand, she embraced me, she hugged me, she showed me the beauty of the academia. I am thankful too to my cohort, Rebecca, Kelsey, Tracy, Corey, Dayton, Jordan, Tyler, Laura, who shared their stories with me and gave me a safe place to talk about all these difficult things I always talk about. They told me to be vulnerable, and they also told me to be protective of my joy. I am grateful to you all. And to my sisters, Amara and Noni, I don't know what Montpellier would have been without you. We moved so far away from home, but here you helped me recreate the community we left at home. You taught me how to flourish here in Montpellier, in this very small town. I love you both so much. Thank you. I'm thankful also to my children and my husband, who couldn't be here because of internet connection in Nigeria. They continue to cheer me on despite everything. I love them. I will never turn my back on them. And finally, thank you to the board of directors, the patrons and the donors, the well-wishers, everyone who donates to this college, who made it possible for this woman to achieve her dreams. May my mothers continue to bless you. May laughter and joy never be far away from you. You will be celebrated just as you celebrated me. You will be blessed just as you've blessed me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ukamaka. It's been such an honor and pleasure to work with you and advise you. Thank you, thank you. Next, I would like to welcome Dayton Jay Shaffer, who will be introduced by his thesis advisor, Erin Stalka.
Dayton Shaffer's writing is the hybridity we need right now. It's lyrical and narrative, real and imagined, personal and universal. He is so professional and so personable, and I'm not sure there's anything he doesn't know how to do. I had nearly nothing to do with the thesis he wrote. I just watched him be brilliant and cheered him on. It's been a pleasure to grow our magazine, Hunger Mountain, alongside you, Dayton. And it's been a pleasure and an honor to watch your writing soar.
Thank you, Erin, so much. And thank you all to the VCFA cats, as well as all my literary heroes that can't be here, that are dead, unfortunately. So I'm a playwright, so what I originally wanted to do was actually, I cast a few actors who were going to do 2 of the shorter monologues, but alas, it's a little different now. So, as one of the greatest troops ever said, and now for something completely different, I made a short little collage film, so we'll see if it works. So, Lizzie, take it over. If not, we'll just, I'll just read it, so we'll see what happens. That doesn't seem to be working, Lizzie. Don't worry about it. Just move on.
All right. Sorry about that, friends.
It's all good.
Well, thank you, Dayton. Do you want to say anything other than the presentation or any other words? Or?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, so I think what would be lovely is if we could maybe put that link to the Google Drive video on the chat, and then, you know, when people have a chance to watch the video, maybe after the ceremony, that would be kind of a lovely way to see what you've created. So
yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for all of those beautiful introductions and for those wonderful readings and words from our graduates. It was really moving. I'm definitely going to cry in just a moment. Now I would like to welcome the president of the Vermont College of Fine Arts, Leslie Ward, to confer the degree of the Master of Fine Arts in Writing to our class of 2020.
Thank you, Rita, and thank you, everyone. Welcome to all the partners, families, and friends who are joining us today to celebrate our graduates. Thank you for the support and encouragement and understanding you have given to your loved one during the time they have spent in our program. I know that you have been integral to their success and to getting them to this moment. And thank you to our talented, inspired, dedicated, and caring faculty, with a huge emphasis on the caring, because that deep, sincere caring that each of you bring to your students is what makes the difference between transferring knowledge and inspiring an artistic practice. Today, I want to also thank all of our students, and especially our graduates, for joining us with open hearts and adventurous spirits as we embarked together on this recent journey into remote learning. I know this was not how you envisioned your graduation, and I know that each of you holds some sadness in your heart next to the joy of this day because you can't celebrate together physically. And yet, your energy, enthusiasm, and patience has been integral in making the final weeks of the semester not just work, but work well. And it occurs to me that this experience has been far from anything but remote. You have reached through time and space and have connected, learned, challenged each other, and shared thoughts and experiences in both formal and informal settings. You have been living proof that the extraordinary sense of community that defines VCFA transcends place. As we all connect here today through our screens, hiding from an unseen enemy, the power, beauty, and essentialness of community could not be more palpable. As writers and writing professionals, you have chosen to immerse yourself in the craft of communication and connecting people to one's own truth and to the truth of others, opening people up to their own vulnerabilities and to new ways of visualizing and thinking about our world. As the entire structure of our world as we know it shifts in response to COVID-19, we are in need of your talent and good work more than ever to document what is happening, to help us connect the emotional experience to the visceral one, and to help us envision the what next. We as a society and as individuals will be looking for meaning and sense-making as we navigate the magnitude of how this virus is affecting individuals and world systems. And we need our writers to help us understand the whole of it. That is a tall order to place on 8 graduates. So let me say this as well. Writing may be a solitary act, but it doesn't happen without a supportive community. And the VCFA community you have enjoyed as a student does not stop here. Right now, you are all in transition, and for most people, that is not a comfortable place, but it is a rich one if you can stay open. You have one foot in your community here and 1 foot out the door. Whether you have plans laid out for the next several months or not, you are about to step away from the familiar structure of your VCFA life and into a world that, especially now, seems to be changing every day. It's one of those wide, open moments that asks you to stay connected to your courage. I urge you to resist the impulse to rush around in search of certainty. Use the practice and discipline you have developed here to settle yourself and find the quiet you need to explore where this transition will take you. Stay curious. Follow that quiet wherever it goes. Excuse me. Roam around in it, fall off cliffs and go down unknown alleys, crawl through tunnels, dive deep into your heart, and surface back again. And after a while, you will begin to find your new post-graduation center in this new crazy reality of the world as we now know it. You won't have class discussions and assignments, but you will have the writing practice you honed in your time at VCFA. You will have the voices of your mentors in your head, and you will still have the trusted friends you have made here to support you and inspire you. And while you won't be students anymore, you will still belong to your VCFA community. We want to be part of your future, and we want you to inform ours. Call us, share your news, share your thoughts. As your writing practice continues to evolve, we will be here to lend support, offer connection, and celebrate your successes. We believe in you. Your writing life will keep growing and changing. The world will be better for it, and the VCFA community will always be one of the constants you can count on. And now it's time to do what we've all been waiting for. By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees and with the authority of the great state of Vermont, I confer upon each of you the degree of Master of Fine Arts in Writing and Publishing with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Leslie, and congratulations to the class of 2020. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to work with all of you over the last 2 years. I am so proud of all that you've accomplished, the incredible writing that you've produced, your bravery, your support of one another, your friendship, and for all the stories and imaginations that you have shared with us. Thank you to the friends, family members, loved ones, faculty, and the VCFA staff who have joined us today to celebrate the MFA in Writing and Publishing class of 2020. I wanted to let you know that as we close our ceremony this afternoon with our alumnus Jameson playing the piano, we have a little surprise in store for the class of 2020. To close our program, I will ask all of our guests on Zoom right now to turn on their microphones and help me count down from 10 to 1. As I count down from 10 to 1, I would like to request that all of our graduates turn towards their windows, especially those who are in their dormitories. This is for you guys who are in and around the VCFA campus. When I reach the end of our countdown, please yell congratulations as loud as you can and clap for our graduates. And once the clapping begins, Jad will begin to play the piano. So is everyone ready? Okay, so please turn on your mics. You can join me in the countdown. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Congratulations!
And for those in the dorms, I think you guys will be hearing something coming down College Street in just a moment. So you can take a peek out of your windows, and I think there'll be some noise happening. So do check it out. So congratulations once again to the class of 2020. Yay! Thank you so much. This wraps our ceremony for today, and you know, as we're coming to closure, if anyone wants to say anything at the very end, any family member, friend who is here, if you just even want to say congrats, that's totally fine. Do you guys see, Tyler, do you hear it? Yes, yes. So for those who are not local to Montpelier, Vermont, we have a car parade that's going on outside of the dormitories here on campus. So so for those in the dorms, you can hear it from your windows. So thank you again for the VCFA staff for helping us arrange that surprise. So thank you. Good. And I wanted to let you know, there's some comments here coming in about Dayton's video. I think Dayton is going to make that video public so you can all watch it in the new Google link that he posts. We will be saving a recording of this ceremony. So that's my husband back there. So you can watch this at your leisure or share it with friends and family, those who couldn't be here today. And we will also save a copy of our chat. So if there are any comments, oh, there you go. There's the comment. Congratulations. Congratulations. Yeah, someone's getting married also. So congratulations again. Did you hear Uka?
Someone was holding up a sign with my name.
Oh, neat. Yeah, we will be taking photographs of this event, not only on Zoom, but outdoors as well. So everyone will get some nice pictures from this event. And I welcome all of our graduates to come back to campus. We usually have an alumnus weekend, in May every year, right before our graduation. And I hope to see many of you there, and perhaps some of you walking in our graduation ceremonies in December or May. So thank you, everyone. It's been an honor and a pleasure. This has been a really lovely way to celebrate, and please keep in touch. And my love to all the graduates, and many thanks to all the faculty and staff here. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Congratulations.
Thank you. I love you all.
Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone. Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations, everybody.
Nice.
Congrats, you guys.
Bye.
Congratulations, Tracy. Congratulations, everybody.
Thank you.
Where's Tyler? Oh, where?
Hooray! Hooray!
Hey,